America and the rest of the world too, I guess. Looking at the stats, I got people in Iran and Pakistan looking at what we're doing here. So, yeah, peace to all of you. I hope that life comes around for you and gets better. Anyhow, last couple of weeks I've been slaving away here at the garage getting some things done. I got the Indian all put back together and on the road, been riding it. It's coming along pretty nicely. Just got to do a little bit of paint and still swap out the mirror. But today I want to talk to you about the DT350 swap. I've got the front mounts done, both upper and lower. I've got the rear mounts at least fabricated and where they're supposed to be. And I also have the transmission adapter done. So let me turn this camera around and I'll show you what we got so far. All right, so there we have, those are the front engine mounts. They're not beautiful, but they're functional. Worked out really well. So all of the scalloping that you see here, I had to do that. That's clearance for the coolant filter. This is for the on the bottom hose on the engine that goes to the bottom hose on the radiator. So you can see how it's different from the other one, and that one is pretty square. You see how I've got this dropping, and yeah, so I built both of those probably 3 different times. I cut it apart and put it together and take the engine out, put it back in. Oh, yeah, it was an entire week of PETA. But anyhow, there they are. They're done. I'm committed, and we're going forward. So the only thing I have left to do there is drill holes so that the bolt can go through and put the mount in. There we go. There's our transmission adapter. Been having a little bit of problem with my welder. I need a new cup for sure, and but I've been having a problem with shielding. I don't know if it's getting a little low on my tank. Maybe that's the problem. But anyhow, just paint it. No one can tell. Anyhow, these are the rear mounts. They mount on here like so, right, in which they'll go into, sit on these like so, which looks like that. So there's our front mounts. You see those rubbers, they sit like this. Those are off the international bus where I got the engine. So those fit in there. Those other mounts that you saw, upper mounts go on here like this over to the front of the engine. And so that bolt hole is what I gotta do for that nut on there. But that's what that setup looks like. And I think it's gonna be perfect. We're gonna have about an inch of clearance between the firewall and the back of the engine, which is why we kept that like it is. Now I got to work on this bell housing. I was telling you somewhere or something, but anyhow, the top of this right here encroaches into the tunnel too far, so I'm taking that off down to about here where those mounts are going to go, and then what I'll do is weld a steel plate in there and fill that in. But you can see over here where I started, that's going to be like that. So I'll get this, I'll get the grinder, I'll cut this out nice and pretty, sand these all down nice and smooth, and we'll get some plates welded in there. I went to welding shop in Santa Maria, California to buy welding rod, and 1 pound of cast iron nickel rod was $109 for a pound. And the sad part about it is, all you people in California, man, I don't know what you're thinking. You keep voting for these people, but not only was there 9.5% tax, but there was a $17 hazardous materials charge for welding rod. It's ridiculous. I don't know what's wrong with you people, but get your shit together, huh? Anyhow, I'm hoping that the pound that I bought's enough to complete this project. I used, I think, 3 sticks to do the harmonic balancer, which it turns out I'm probably not going to use. I saw online that you get the whole serpentine setup from a newer 466, and it'll bolt right on there. So yeah, I've got to go around and source that and see what I can do. I've already got all the accessories I want, but if the 466 accessories just bolt on the front lickety split, that's likely what I'll do, even though I've got to come up with a fan. I was considering just doing an electric fan, but we'll see. You know, part of the problem is this engine didn't have air conditioning, so if I can get alternator to mount somewhere in this area, and of course this is all power, hydraulic steering and brakes and whatnot, which is a pump that goes on there, which means I don't need to get an accessory drive for that, which is awesome, which means I can put the air conditioning right there. Yeah, so we'll look and see. I've already got 3 or 4 compressors for the air conditioning. I've got 7 or 8 alternators. So yeah, I'm not eager to go out and buy the 466 accessories, especially whenever I've got all this other stuff here. But what I get from the one young man I saw online is that harmonic balancer gets a lot smaller and tighter. So that's probably a must purchase. And then that way too, I won't have to worry about my monkey garage set up there coming apart and being a problem in the future, even though I've got about a week's worth of work in it. Yeah, I'd hate to ruin 2 months worth of work having it come apart inside the engine. But anyhow, that's our 360 excuse me, our 360 update with the engine mounts and whatnot. Yeah, it was a rough go. I got about 10 days in fabricating those front mounts. They took me, man, like 4 or 5 days. This wasn't too bad. I have maybe a whole day in getting that set up and the first part welded on, and then cutting these other pieces and putting them in. I got less than half a day making that. So let's call it 6 hours I've got in doing that. This here is probably going to take a little bit. I don't have a buzz box here, which means I got to go up to Randy's house and do that. Not a big deal, but it's something else to do in addition to getting it ready. And otherwise, I've got maybe 30 minutes preparing these mounts, and they'll be ready to paint. So should be by the end of today, I'll have all of this stuff put back together, sitting in the chassis, and it'll be ready for final assembly. This will mean paint the engine, and I think I'll hold off on the frame. I'm gonna just put all this stuff together, set it aside for right now, and get the coach out here and start working on body stuff. So yeah, otherwise until I get more progress on the coach, Leastwise, I'll get it to where it needs paint, and then I'll come back to this and start doing final assembly, putting in lines and like fuel line, brake line, fabricating the brackets for the slave and master cylinders on the clutch and all those sorts of things. So right now it's just major fabrication details to get the engine located, transmission located, get the coach on there, find out what I need to do to get it fitted and working correctly. So we're roughing it in for now. Anyhow, that's our 360 update. Man. All right, catch you later.